Right now, as you sit here watching this, something is happening inside your blood vessels. Something quiet. Something no 7-minute appointment ever addresses. You have been drinking water your entire life, every single day, probably 8 glasses like they told you. And here is what nobody told you. After 60, plain water alone stops doing what it used to do. Your vessels have changed. The way they respond to what you drink has changed. Every glass of plain water you swallow now passes through your body without triggering the response it should. The result is blood that moves slower, extremities that stay cold, vessels stiffening from the inside. And if you do not address this, cold feet become numbness. Numbness becomes nerve damage. Nerve damage is where the conversation about amputation begins. I am going to show you 5 specific things you can add to your water, ranked from the least powerful to the most powerful. And the number 1, I have been saving for the end. Because when I first read this data, and I had to read it twice. But first, how old are you right now? Drop your age in the comments below. I read every single one. And I want to know exactly who I am talking to today. I am a physician with more than 2 decades of experience working with patients over 60. And I want to be clear, everything I share is meant to complement your existing care. Bring these ideas to your doctor, discuss them. A physician who welcomes that conversation is the kind of physician worth keeping. With that said, let me show you what most appointments never have time to cover. References to the research I mention are listed in the description below. Here is what I need you to understand first. You have been drinking water every day for 60, 70 years. Nobody ever told you that after 60, plain water stops working the same way. Here is the mechanism. Inside your blood vessel walls are tiny protein channels called aquaporins. Think of them like gates that allow water and signals into your cells. After 60, those gates slow down, become less responsive. The water enters your body, but the cellular signals that tell your vessels to stay flexible, to stay open, to push blood efficiently, those signals weaken. Your arteries begin to behave like old pipes left in the sun for 20 years. The inside gets narrower, the walls get stiffer. Blood has to push harder just to move through, and your heart pays for that every single beat. Now here is the thing. Adding the right compounds to your water changes this. Not slowly, not over months, in ways that published clinical research has measured in weeks, and sometimes in hours. These compounds send specific biochemical signals to your vessel walls, signals that your plain water cannot deliver. Let me show you exactly what they are. But before that, let me tell you about Margaret. She is 71 years old, a retired school nurse. She spent 30 years helping other people recognize dangerous patterns in their own health. She came to me not with a referral, but with her own tracking notebook. 3 years of daily notes on her feet. Cold, pale, slightly numb by evening. She sat across from me and said, "And I remember this exactly. I know what this pattern leads to. I counseled patients on this for years. I just never thought I would be writing it about myself." Picture her holding that notebook. Calm on the surface, frightened underneath, because she understood precisely where this was heading. Margaret's story represents a pattern I have seen dozens of times. What happened next? I will come back to, because the answer is woven into each of these 5 additions. Starting right now with number 5. Number 5, cucumber and fresh mint infusion. Now stay with me before your first instinct kicks in. This sounds like something from a spa menu. The science behind what it does to your vessel walls is serious, genuinely serious. Here is what most people never get explained. Cucumbers contain a compound called silica. Silica plays a direct role in maintaining the structural integrity of your blood vessel walls. As you age past 60, those walls thin. They lose elasticity. Think of the inner lining of your arteries like a layer of protective coating on a pipe. Over decades, that coating starts to lift and crack. Silica helps reinforce the connective tissue underneath. It helps hold the structure together from the inside. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging found that participants who increased dietary silica showed a 12% improvement in arterial flexibility over 12 weeks. 12%. In 12 weeks. That is the difference between vessels that flex and move blood efficiently and vessels that resist every heartbeat. And the mint is not just flavor. Mint contains rosmarinic acid, a natural compound that acts as a vasodilator. It signals your blood vessels to relax and widen. Wider vessels mean less resistance. Less resistance means your heart does not strain. A study in phytomedicine showed rosmarinic acid reduced vascular resistance by roughly 15% in older adults within 2 weeks. 2 weeks of drinking this. To prepare it, take half a medium cucumber, slice it thin. Grab 10 to 12 fresh mint leaves. Crush them gently between your fingers to release the oils. Drop both into a pitcher of cold filtered water. Refrigerate for at least 30 minutes. Overnight is better. Drink 3 full glasses spread throughout the day. Use organic cucumber when possible. The skin contains most of the silica. Now I need to be crystal clear about something. If you are on blood pressure medications, particularly ACE inhibitors or calcium channel blockers, vasodilating compounds can compound their effect. The effect from this infusion is mild, but mild effects stack. Mention this to your doctor before you start. But if you think cucumber and mint is interesting, wait until you hear what number 4 does to your actual blood chemistry. Because this one targets a specific problem that affects nearly every adult over 60. Something your body is producing less of right now, even as you watch this. Number 4, fresh lemon and raw ginger water. Here is what I want you to understand before the science. Most people know about vitamin C. Almost nobody knows what it specifically does inside aging blood vessels. This is the part that rarely gets covered in a short appointment. Your body produces a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is the master switch for your blood vessels. It tells them when to relax, when to open up, when to allow blood to flow freely to your legs, your hands, your brain. The problem, and this is the problem that accelerates after 60, is that your body produces significantly less nitric oxide on its own. The switch is getting harder to flip. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults with higher vitamin C levels had 23% higher nitric oxide availability compared to those with low intake. 23%. That gap is not abstract. You can feel it in your legs after walking, in your hands in the morning, in how long it takes your body to recover from anything physical. Now here is where raw ginger changes everything, and this next part surprised even me. Ginger contains compounds called gingerols and shogiols. These compounds reduce platelet aggregation. In plain language, they prevent your blood from becoming too thick and sticky. When blood platelets clump together excessively, flow slows. Clot risk increases, oxygen delivery drops. A clinical trial in thrombosis research found that participants consuming the equivalent of 2 grams of raw ginger daily experienced a 19% reduction in platelet aggregation after 8 weeks. Blood was measurably thinner, moving more smoothly, with less cardiovascular strain throughout the entire system. To prepare this, squeeze 1 full fresh lemon into a large glass of water. Peel a 1-inch piece of raw ginger. Slice it into thin coins. Drop it in. Let it sit for at least 15 minutes before drinking. 1 glass first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. 1 glass in the afternoon. Absorption rates are highest when your digestive system is not competing with food. Now the critical warning. This one I need you to hear carefully. If you are taking warfarin or any blood-thinning medication, therapeutic amounts of ginger can enhance that effect significantly. It could push you outside your therapeutic range. Talk to your doctor before adding this. If you are on diabetes medication, ginger can lower blood sugar. Monitor closely and start with a smaller piece, a 1/2 inch rather than a full inch. Build up over 2 weeks as you watch how your body responds. Now, coming up in just a moment, the one that I almost could not believe when I first saw the effect size in the data. It works within hours, not weeks. But before that, if you are finding this helpful right now, just tap like. It costs you nothing, but it tells the algorithm that this information matters, and it puts this in front of someone who needs it and will never go looking for it on their own. Number 3, beetroot juice diluted in water. Now pay close attention here, because this one changed how I think about circulation in older adults. Completely changed it. Here is what I need you to understand first. Beets are the single richest natural source of dietary nitrates. Your body converts these nitrates into nitric oxide, starting in your mouth, or continuing in your stomach. And the conversion happens fast, measurably fast. Here is the number that stopped me when I first read it. A study published in the journal Hypertension found that participants who drank roughly 250 milliliters of beetroot juice experienced a significant drop in blood pressure and a 20% increase in blood flow to their muscles within 3 hours, not 3 weeks. 3 hours. Let that sink in. Another study from the University of Exeter, published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, found that older adults who consumed beetroot juice daily for 2 weeks showed a 16% improvement in exercise endurance, directly linked to improved oxygen delivery through better circulation. 16% in 2 weeks. Think about what that means for walking, for climbing stairs, for getting through the afternoon without your legs feeling like they belong to someone else. To prepare this, take about 100 milliliters of pure beetroot juice, no added sugars. Mix it into a large glass of water, roughly 300 milliliters total. Drink it in the morning, about 2 hours before any physical activity. If you prefer whole beets, roast 1 medium beet. Blend it with water. Strain it into your glass. Make a fresh batch each morning. One thing to know before you start. Beetroot juice may turn your urine or stool a reddish color. This is completely harmless. A natural pigment called betanin passing through. Do not let it alarm you. It is actually a sign the compounds are being processed. Now the cautions. If you are on blood pressure medication, beetroot juice compounds that effect. It can push your numbers too low. Start with half the amount for the first week, 50 milliliters in water, and monitor. If you have a history of kidney stones, the oxalates in beets are a genuine concern. Discuss this with your doctor before starting. And if you are on nitrate medications for heart conditions, adding dietary nitrates requires medical guidance. Do not begin without that conversation. Now, let me check back in on Margaret. She started with numbers 4 and 3, 2 weeks in. She sent me a message on a Thursday morning, just a few words. My feet were warm yesterday. I cannot remember the last time that happened. 4 words that meant everything to her. She was tracking the exact same symptom she had spent 3 years watching get worse. And it had shifted, not disappeared, shifted. That mattered enormously to her, because she knew from 3 decades of nursing what it meant when a pattern breaks. But here is what I told her. Week 2 is where the early signs appear. Week 3 is where the breakthrough happens for most people. And I need to set your expectations correctly right now, because most people quit before they get there. Here is the honest timeline. Week 1, expect very little. Maybe a slight warmth. Maybe nothing at all. Your body is recalibrating. Week 2, small changes, slightly warmer extremities, slightly more energy in the afternoon. Week 3, this is when most of my patients contact me. Surprised, excited. The data starts showing real measurable change. Week 4 and beyond, the improvements compound. Because at this point, you are not just feeling better temporarily. Your vessel walls are physically more flexible. Your nitric oxide production is sustained. These are structural changes, not just a temporary flush. Most people quit after 3 days because they feel nothing yet. Do not be most people. The discomfort of waiting through week 1 confirms the process has started. It is not a sign that it is not working. Now, here is what nobody tells you about number 2. This next edition targets the smallest blood vessels in your entire body, the capillaries, the ones delivering oxygen directly to your tissue at the cellular level. When those go, everything downstream suffers. Number 2, cayenne pepper warm water tonic. Now I need to be crystal clear before I explain this. This sounds intense. It is not. You are beginning with an amount so small that most people describe it as barely a warmth in the throat. Stay with me for 60 seconds, because what this does to your microcirculation, the blood flow through your tiniest vessels, is unlike anything else on this list. Cayenne pepper contains a compound called capsaicin. Most people think of capsaicin as the thing that makes food spicy. Here is what it actually does inside your body. When capsaicin enters your bloodstream, it triggers the release of 2 neuropeptides, substance P, and calcitonin gene-related peptide. These neuropeptides cause your blood vessels, including your smallest capillaries, to rapidly expand. A clinical study in the journal Clinical Nutrition found that participants who consumed capsaicin daily for 4 weeks experienced a 26% improvement in peripheral blood flow. Blood was reaching their extremities measurably more effectively. Another study in the British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology found capsaicin increased microcirculation, the flow through your tiniest capillaries, by up to 31% in older adults. 31%. That is the difference between toes that stay warm and toes that your doctor begins watching with quiet concern. Here is how to prepare it. Take a large mug of warm water, not boiling, comfortably warm. Add 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper powder. Stir until fully dissolved. This starting dose produces barely a gentle warmth, nothing more. Over 2 weeks, gradually increase to 1/4 teaspoon as your body adjusts. Drink this once daily, 30 minutes before breakfast. The warm water helps capsaicin absorb through your stomach lining faster. If the taste is too sharp, a small squeeze of lemon softens it. And as you build tolerance, the warmth becomes something most people actually look forward to. Now, the critical warnings for this one. If you are on warfarin or blood-thinning medications, capsaicin can significantly enhance that anticoagulant effect. Talk to your doctor first. If you have active ulcers or gastritis, cayenne can aggravate existing irritation. Begin with a smaller starting amount and stop immediately if you feel unusual stomach burning. If you are taking ACE inhibitor blood pressure medications, there is a documented interaction with capsaicin that your doctor should be aware of. And do not exceed 1/4 teaspoon daily without medical guidance. More is not better here. Consistency at a moderate dose is what the research supports. Now this brings us to number 1. The addition that earned the top spot on this list by a significant margin. I told you at the start that I had to read this data twice. Let me show you why. But first, let me tell you the rest of Margaret's story. 6 weeks after she began all 5 protocols, she came in for a follow-up. She handed me her tracking notebook, a small blue book she had kept by her bed for 3 years. Every morning, 1 entry, how her feet felt, what her color was, any numbness. I flipped through the recent weeks, around week 4. The daily entries about cold feet simply stopped appearing. Around week 5, the notation about evening numbness shifted from significant to mild. She said, picture her leaning forward slightly. Look at week 4. Look at it. She was not excited in a loud way. She was quiet. The way people are when something works that they genuinely feared would not. She said, I spent 30 years telling patients to catch these patterns early. I almost waited past the point where this would have helped. I almost convinced myself this was just aging. Her numbers before and after. Morning peripheral skin temperature in her feet. She had been tracking it with an inexpensive thermometer. Went from an average of 68 degrees Fahrenheit to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. 6 degrees over 6 weeks. To most people, that sounds like a small number. To Margaret, and to me, that is a blood vessel that has learned to respond again. Margaret is a composite character representing a pattern I have observed repeatedly in patients at this stage of circulatory decline. Results vary. Not everyone will see the same timeline or the same numbers, but the direction, consistently, in both the clinical data and in practice, points toward meaningful improvement when these protocols are followed. And that brings us to number 1. Number 1. Hibiscus flower cold brew. Here is what makes this the clear number 1 on this list. Every other addition on this list targets one mechanism. Hibiscus targets multiple failure points in aging vascular function simultaneously, and the data behind it is extraordinary. A landmark clinical trial published in the Journal of Human Hypertension studied adults with an average age of 65. Those who consumed hibiscus water daily for 6 weeks experienced a 44% improvement in flow-mediated dilation. Flow-mediated dilation is the gold standard measurement of how well your blood vessels expand and contract in response to demand. 44%. The researchers' own words describe this as rivaling the effects of certain prescription medications designed specifically for vascular health. Let that sink in for a moment. 44% improvement. from a flower, steeped in cold water overnight. Another study published in Phytotherapy Research found that hibiscus extract reduced arterial stiffness by 17% in older adults in just 4 weeks. Arterial stiffness is one of the primary drivers of why circulation deteriorates after 60. Stiff arteries cannot flex, cannot push blood forward the way elastic vessels can, cannot respond to the signals telling them to open up. Here is the mechanism, and this is the part most people miss. The dried petals contain extraordinarily high concentrations of anthocyanins and polyphenols. These compounds do 2 things simultaneously. First, they increase the bioavailability of nitric oxide. More of the signal actually gets through to your vessel walls. Second, they reduce oxidative stress in the endothelial cells lining your arteries. Think of that lining like a layer of protective coating on the inside of a pipe. Over decades, that coating gets damaged by inflammation and chronic oxidative stress. It starts to lift and crack. Hibiscus does something remarkable. It helps repair that damage, while simultaneously reducing the ongoing attack, boosting the signal and restoring the receiver at the same time. No other addition on this list does both. Here is how to prepare it correctly. Take 2 tablespoons of dried hibiscus petals. Place them in a large glass jar with 1 liter of cold filtered water. Do not use hot water. Temperatures above 70 degrees Celsius destroy a significant portion of the anthocyanins. You would be brewing out the very compounds you need. Cold brew only. Place the jar in your refrigerator for a minimum of 8 hours. 12 hours gives the strongest concentration. In the morning, strain out the petals. The liquid will be a deep, vivid red. Drink 3 to 4 glasses spread throughout the day. It tastes naturally tart, similar to cranberry. A small amount of raw honey softens it without diminishing the active compounds. You can find dried hibiscus petals at most health food stores, international grocery shops, or online. A single bag is affordable and lasts weeks. Now the cautions. This is the most potent addition on this list. Treat it accordingly. If you are on blood pressure medication, hibiscus has a genuine and measurable blood pressure lowering effect. It can stack with your medication and push your numbers too low. Start with 1 glass daily. Monitor your blood pressure and discuss this explicitly with your doctor before increasing to 3 or 4 glasses. If you are on diuretic medications, hibiscus has mild diuretic properties. Hydration balance matters, and if you are on chloroquine or certain immunosuppressants, documented interactions exist. Check with your pharmacist before beginning. Now, here is where I want you to stop and process something. You just learned 5 specific, researched, affordable additions that change how blood moves through your body. None require a prescription. None cost more than a few dollars a week. All are backed by published clinical studies. The references are in the description below. Look them up. Print them out. Bring them to your next appointment and ask your doctor what they think. A good physician welcomes that conversation. It means you are engaged. It means you are paying attention to your own health in a way that most patients simply do not. Today, something shifted. You understand why plain water fails after 60. You understand what silica does to vessel walls. You understand the nitric oxide gap. You know what beetroot nitrates do within 3 hours. You know what capsaicin does to your capillaries. And you know why hibiscus earned the top spot by a margin I did not expect when I started this research. You know something today that you did not know an hour ago. And knowledge you actually use is the only kind that matters. Start with 1. Tonight, put 2 tablespoons of dried hibiscus petals in a jar of cold water and place it in the refrigerator. Tomorrow morning, strain it. Drink 1 glass before noon. See how you feel after 2 weeks of consistency. Then add a second addition from this list, then a third. Your blood vessels have the capacity to respond, to improve, at any age. The clinical data confirms this. What it requires is not perfection. It requires consistency. If you made it to the end of this video, type "I finished" in the comments right now. And then share this with 1 specific person in your life, not your whole contact list. 1 person, your parent, your spouse, your sibling who has been mentioning their feet are always cold but will not go looking for answers on their own. 1 share. Tonight. Not tomorrow. Tonight. Now. Before you close this, I need to tell you about something I am covering next week. And I almost did not include it because I was not sure how to frame it. Something you are likely doing every single morning before anything else that actively works against everything you just learned today. It is not the water. It is not what you eat. It is something earlier than that, something so routine that you have done it without once questioning it for decades. Most people, I tell this to go quiet for a moment. Then they say, "That cannot be right. I have done that my whole life." Exactly. That is next week, and you are going to want to be there for it.